Hello, this is J.N.S, and today we are continuing with the Queen Mothership Enterprise Architecture series. And we are on part 5, which is defense. Now, defense is very important, but if you are not abreast with what we are doing, this is a series from a blueprint that I created that is 130 pages long. It is a book. And what we're doing is we want to put it in a video format so that it's more easily digestible for Black Americans who don't have access to the book. And then eventually we'll start to collate who we need from the internet and take it more on the grassroots level, on the ground level. So for now, we're doing the video format of this. Now, this is part 5. Remember, part 1 was talking about the definition of the enterprise architecture in terms of my intentions and its agenda. Then part 2 was the governance. How do you set up a branch? What does the branch consist of? We talked about the Admiral branch and the various councils, the Council of Formidable Men, the Council of Elders, the Council of Children, the Council of the Queen Mothers. We talked about how to set up those chapters. What are the criteria for those type of positions? So you want to check out part 2. Part 3 was the social fabric and the culture. We talked about land acquisition. We talked about technology. We talked about education. We talked about the culture aspects of Black Americans in the Queen Mothership in terms of intellectualism, teamwork, cooperation, vocational skill building. So that was part 3. Part 4 was economics. We talked about community trust funds, how to set that up, what kind of directors you would need, how to elect those directors, what type of initiatives would the Black American need for the Queen Mothership, consisting of land acquisition, once again, consisting of entrepreneurial pursuits, consisting of grants for Black businesses. Then we talked about the barter economy aspect of it, which is an alternative parallel infrastructure to currency. We talked about the examples of what that looks like, as well as the service point basis of that app that we will create. That's going to be the technological component of it as well. And so that was part 4. And so now we are on part 5, which is defense. Now, defense is very controversial in a sense because it's like we all know that we are beholden to certain legalities and even logistics of how that will look. So what's important for you to understand as Black Americans, though, as a community, the idea of defending yourself against credible threats is obviously legal, is obviously a very logical thing to do. So when we talked about building these intentional communities or even coming together, even if you're not in the intentional community, but you are someone who, you pretty much support what we're doing, whether you're a man or a woman, you support this idea of this Queen Mothership and the things that we are doing for the Black American, then you understand that defense comes in handy. Now, when we talk about who can do this defending, obviously we expect more of the matriarchal Black men to be in that position, but it is open for males and females. It is based on what you feel you bring to the table. And we're going to cover the component of what is this idea of a QM defense, because that's what it's called. QM defense obviously stands for Queen Mother, but QM defense is the formal name of, once again, this parallel infrastructure, because remember the strategies and remember some of the things that we talked about in terms of building leverage as Black Americans by building that apparatus of self-sufficiency so that we can actually barter with our government and in the political arena. So that is why we are building out parallel infrastructures. It is to get a foothold over our own communities, to have some autonomy over our own community. But also, we want to be put in a position of a liaison brokerage group that is not bottom caste and not the permanent underclass. And that is that is my concern. I'm not saying we're going to go and topple over and just, topple over the government. I'm not trying to put Black Americans in a position to have to deal with the ramifications of that. So that is not, if that's what you're looking for, that's not necessarily what the Queen Mothership is aiming to do. The Queen Mothership just wants apparatuses for Black Americans that promote their self-sufficiency, that promotes their autonomy, that promotes cooperation and working together with one another, that promotes education, that promotes businesses for them. And it's deeper than just like, okay, here's these abstract ideas, but how do we get to that? No, it's like, here are the blueprint for building out those particular infrastructures. So we talked about the MOOC provider system in our education. It's in the book, but I didn't cover that in the video because you guys have pretty much easy access to look that stuff up in terms of the ideas I have regarding education and not the university and the publishing company that I had that I write books under for the knowledge production aspect of the education. And then we talked about the community trust fund. We got into the intricacies of what that looks like on a very, deep level. Then when we talk about the intentional communities, that's coming up later. But we're going to talk about very, very detailed things in terms of procuring water. How do we do that? How do we procure land? Like it's going to be very concrete stuff that we focus on with details, with the actual plan. So that's what makes the Queen Mothership different than just like, oh, here's somebody just talking like these abstract ideas that's going to just sound good, but does not really, there's no plan. There's no action behind it. There's no experience. It's just, that's not what this is. So once again, the defense is a parallel infrastructure that is very small scale. It's to be utilized within those intentional communities, which again, we're going to talk more about the intentional communities in the next video. And we're going to get really deep into that. And that is what the defense is for. It is for when outsiders try to infiltrate your intentional communities, wherever you are at in the country, wherever you are at in the world. This is a framework for Black Americans. I am very upfront about that. That is what it states in the book. However, those that are on the continent of Africa, you're more than welcome to borrow this framework for your own intentional community and for your own empowerment in that continent. That is something that you can absolutely do. But this centers the Black American. So for that, when you're building out these branches, wherever you're at, you're going to need defense. It's as simple as that. You're going to need people that know how to defend themselves. And you're going to need discipline for the QM defense. So it's based on your intentional community, wherever you are at. And what's important to know is that defense was a part of the social fabric and culture chapter. Again, social fabric. So it's deeper than just like, okay, this abstract idea. This is literally something that should be embedded in our culture, the idea of defending ourselves. And the primary goal of the QM defense is to protect Black Americans and promote policies that will maintain a secure society. This includes improving safety in neighborhoods, as well as developing intelligence institutions, military assets. Now, communal policing is where this QM defense comes in to a certain extent. Now, we do have other communal safety watches that we'll cover later. That's going to be its separate chapter. But QM defense is also a part of the intelligence institutions that we are building. We do have a chapter on intelligence gathering. It's as simple as that, to protect Black Americans from spies and from infiltrators and from social engineering. It's as simple as that. So QM defense is an aspect of that in terms of intelligence, but also the physical stuff. And what we want the Black man and the Black woman, because again, this is the QM defense is for both genders, whoever wants to do this, and it's voluntary. Just like in intentional community, you have farmers, you have your technologists, you have your plumbers, you have your electricians, you have your teachers, you have your herbalists, you have your architectures. You'll have people that do QM defense. You'll have your women who make textiles. You have your child care women or men. You have your organizer. You have your manager. You have your cooks. This is what makes up the intentional community. But you're also going to have people who do defense. And it's very strategic. Like, we're not sending people out on a damn suicide mission out here. You know what I mean? But for the Black man and for the Black woman, whoever decides to volunteer for such a QM defense position, You know, we want them to be in a position where not only do they have to worry about like, okay, we need these weapons and stuff like that. It's not what this is about. We're talking about mind, body, and soul. So their body will also be the weapon. And that's why we talk about in the Queen Mothership, martial arts become very important. Bow and arrow becomes very important, believe it or not. So a lot of archery will be used in the QM defense. A lot of different types of martial arts, and we're going to cover that. And then marksmanship is very important. So we have marksmanship, you have your archery, and you have your martial arts. That is what the QM defense consists of. And some of you will be already trained marksmen. Some of you will already be excellent people. Some of you will already be excellent in bow and arrow. Some of you already have been practicing that. But we want to set up apparatuses where Black Americans can have archery practices in our intentional communities. Like, we're going to have a section for that. And Black Americans can also engage in their gun range. You know, we're going to have trips to where Black Americans will be able to practice this. And the Queen Mothership Community Trust Fund will be funding this. This is what the Community Trust Fund is for, is an aspect of that. So we're going to make sure that Black Americans are getting the training that they need for defense. So again, some of the funds from the Community Trust Fund is going to be used to make sure that we are training Black Americans in the QM defense team to be excellent with the gun range marksmanship, to be excellent with bow and arrow, and to be excellent with martial arts. This is what we'll be funding. And they are charged with communal policing as well as guarding the perimeter of the intentional communities wherever you are at. Also, some of the funds from the Community Trust Fund will be used to set up the intelligence apparatus. That goes into, you know, pretty much the technology aspects of it, making sure that the safety around our barter economy app is top notch, that it cannot be infiltrated, making sure that we don't get, you know, J.N.S attacks and all that nonsense, and protecting our technology properties, but also monitoring potential chaos agents, people who try to start drama, you know, constantly, and we can never get consistent, and it's just that one person, and we're seeing a lot of fuckery. That there's ways that the Queen Mothership deals with that. We're going to cover that in a different chapter, but there are ways that we weed out spies and people that are sent to disrupt and cause chaos within your intentional community. There is a chapter in the blueprint about that. So QM Defense will also deal with that. So there's also an intellectual component, and we'll be training Black Americans in the QM Defense on how to spot spies, you know, and spot agents and chaos agents and attacks on our technology. We'll be training for that. And that's what, you know, the QM Defense is about. So I'm very excited about this because I do think about strategies a lot. And I have a protective nature. So, you know, when I come up with these types of ideas, you know, it may seem like, really, Kali, like we really need that. Again, I don't push ideology on people. I am an ideologue about the Queen Mothership, and I have very particular calling on my life for why I am so stringent about my ideas of matriarchal communities for melanated people, based off of me studying our history before colonization and slavery in the Americas and in Africa, in the Caribbeans. And I see that we're naturally matriarchal people. And I see what happened where it went to shit. And it wasn't because of the white man. There was infighting within the nobility class between melanated men and women. The war broke out. It's as simple as that. And things did break down systematically. You know, then it was infiltration from obviously Europeans. But in many tribes in West Africa, and particularly, America's is a little bit different because some of the matriarchies are still intact for indigenous tribes, but they had some issues too with the power shifts from the Queen Mothers, and that definitely happened in Africa, and they went to war against those women. You know, so I see, you know, a lot of this dysfunction and a lot of the things that, and I know our people don't want to study this stuff. Our people are refusing to admit it. Our people are refusing to admit that melanated people are naturally matriarchal, for one. Two, they're refusing to study the breakdowns of specific tribes. particularly the tribes that Black Americans come from, whether they are in America or in Africa. That to me is odd. I just find that odd because it's not even so much the women, it's the men. And then you can see that the ascent of certain civilizations and those particular dynamics of melanated civilizations that were thriving. And then you could just see everything just go to shit like that. And then nobody wants to study how that happened. So I'm like, that's crazy to me. How do you not study how the great matriarch fell? Why are we not studying why the men went to war with the women? And there were 3 reasons why they overthrew the great matriarch. So I understand that. And then another reason why I'm an ideologue about this is not just the history of melanated people being matriarchal, the pre-colonial history, the studying of why our civilizations fell as melanated people, the study of the dynamics between Black men and Black women historically. Obviously, they weren't calling themselves Black, but that's neither here or there. But also, in today's time, the prophecies around what's happening in today's time regarding the constellation, regarding the return of the crone mother, the return of the great matriarchy. This has already been foreordained. It's the 2,000-year reign is up, and a lot of men, you notice they're like saying like, oh, the age of Pisces is not over yet. It's not over yet. And it's like, I'm sorry, people can believe what they want, but the age of Pisces is very much coming to an end. It is very much coming to an end, and we are moving into the age of Saturn, the age of Aquarius. We are moving into the age of information, the age of revelation and exposure. In the age of where things that were hidden now become revealed in ways that floodgate this planet. The human race will no longer be asleep about certain facts of the universe, certain truths of themselves. They will no longer be hidden from them. The powers that be can no longer hold it. The powers that be can no longer hide it. The religious institutions can no longer hide it. The education system can no longer hide it. What's going to happen in terms of the awakening of melanated people? So I see that, and I'm an ideologue of that, but I do not go around forcing my Queen Mothership ideology on anybody. Because I have the maturity to realize that this is a thing of resonance. Either this resonates with you or it just doesn't. Either it resonates with you and it's something you're like, you know what, I like that. I see what you're saying. I got that dream too, or I got that vision too, or I had that calling too, or I've been revealed that information too. And we just come together through like mind. So that's what this is about. We're not in the business of saving anybody. Either this shit resonate with you or it don't. We ain't trying to get nobody off of what they square, or you don't believe that. That's wrong. You need to do that. Ain't what colleague J.N.S is about. Like, that's not how I run my shit. It's like, look, here's the information. Here's the ideology. Here's the state of consciousness that I'm on. Is anybody else that's at this state of consciousness? Is anybody else that's resonating with this? Okay, you guys want to link up? You guys want to build something? Let's do something. You got some ideas to bring to the table? Let's work together. Let's collaborate. And let's actually, get ourselves in a position that we want to be in. Let's look out for one another. And that's what this is about. It's not about, oh, you need to drop what you're doing and follow me. That's just not how I think. Like, whatever you think, that's on you. You know what I mean? Because, and I want to say this, and I'm going to get into the defense chapter, or the defense section rather. Every mind is a universe. So every human being has the universe residing within their consciousness. Now, a lot of you guys are mind control programmed. A lot of you guys are literally under subliminal MK Ultra programming. Like, and I know you guys don't want to believe that that's very deep, but it starts obviously from the K-12 system. Then you go to college, you get more indoctrination, but you have to be able to sift through that social engineering. Obviously, the media is the biggest one of the subliminal programming. You see that all everywhere you look at. The politics, the music, the movies. Come on, we all know who controls the movies. Come on. We all know how the movies come out and the messages that they put out. So for those who resonate, you get what I'm saying. So, there's a lot of programming. But beyond the programming that the powers that be does, the players that be rather, every mind is a universe. Every mind has the potential for great creation, to create their own systems, to create their own infrastructures through the mind, through being the architect themselves. And so I understand, and what we all have to understand as humans is that people are going to do what the hell they going to do. People going to be who they going to be. And so I would never be in the business of trying to hit someone over the head. Like, you got to follow this, or this is the right way. This is the only way. It's insanity. You know, you know, and I want to say this to Black Americans who really are like, well, what's your angle as colleague J.N.S.? This will always be my angle, and this is a humbling process of me doing more shadow work on my own self and self-development. But the only thing that I can do on this planet, is seek to influence, not control. And I say this as someone that I know I've went into avatar stage. I know that I've ascended into various levels of consciousness that very few humans get to. That's not saying that I'm better. That's just saying that comes with a great responsibility. That comes with a great deal of having to consistently do self-development and ego management. And I say that the only thing that I can ever really do on this planet is seek to influence, not control. I can only give a suggestion, not a demand. And so that is what I want Black Americans to take away. Like, it's like, okay, was she really trying to tell us that she's this avatar and trying to get us to believe what she... No, absolutely not. You do you. Because we all the same. I'd say all the time, we all go into the damn grave. Every day we live, we got a closer day to what? Death. And death is nothing to be afraid of, because death is only the beginning. But my goal in terms of this Queen Mothership is I want to see this Black American thriving. I really want to see melanated people thriving on planet Earth. And I do that through the ancestors that walk through me, the gods, literal gods, like these, you know, I have a lot of dreams. I am a prophet. I am a minister. And as a spiritual intuitive, I get a lot of downloads about, like, okay, what's going on, you know, with melanated people? Like, how can we really get out of this? You know, and use me as that vessel, regardless of what the consequences is. I'm like, Goddess, use me as the vessel to be fearless and to help myself first and foremost. Because let's not act like all work is altruistic, to help myself evolve in my consciousness, but also the mission that I have always felt since I was 19 years old. The stuff that I've always been doing since I was 19 years old. I've always been teaching. I've always been spiritual. I've always been concerned with melanated people. It's just simple as that. I've always been, this is not nothing new. This is not something I just took up one day. This is something I've always been concerned with. And I've always been concerned with that Black American woman, that Black woman. The melanated female species has also been something that's very been dear to my heart. Okay, so when I talk about this Queen Mothership and bringing in this Queen Mothership, it is this whole idea of melanated science, the idea of this balance between the divine feminine and divine masculine, understanding the laws of electromagnetism and gender, understanding the ancient teachings of our ancestors, of our avatars, because some of them are not even, some of you have ancestors that are avatars. Some of you have ancestors that are ascended masters, that are literal gods. Like, seriously. Well, we conceive as God, but they came on this planet as programmers, or these avatars that perceive, they have a lot more knowledge than us. They have a lot more wisdom and intellect, but they also can defy like laws of physics and shit like that. So back in those days, like 5,000 years ago, we perceived like someone like Tahuti to be a god, the Atlantean, you know, or Hathor. Like some of these beings, you know. And if you don't believe in none of this and you like, oh, you done lost me, I'm done. That's fine. Wish you well. Goodbye. But for some of those beings, like, those are some of your ancestors. Not all of us. Not all of us come from them pantheons. Some of us have some American avatars like Califia, or, you know, different avatars that walk this planet. you know. And then you'll have, you know, some of you have some of the ancestor, some of you have some of the avatars from the Celtic point of view. It doesn't matter, you know. That's that. My point is not to get caught up on like, oh, you said Hootie and oh, that means you're Kemetic. No, I'm not Kemetic at all. I'm just giving you an example, you know. But some of these but some of these avatars, whether it's Shiva, Ganesha, whatever, you know, it's deeper than just like they are external from you, or that you need to worship them, or you need to see them as a god. Rather, you don't even need to do that, you know. But it's important to know that some of these ancestors that run with us, and only you know who your ancestors are through your genealogy and through your spiritual intuitions, through your dreams, and through you building up those connections. You build up those connections with your ancestors on a deep level. You can do that on a dream realm and the astral realm. You guys know that. And when you find out, you know, you're going to be given access to certain wisdom and to certain knowledge. You're going to be exposed to certain ways of consciousness and to certain paradigms. And it's as simple as that. And, you know, for me, this is what I was given. I was given this Queen Mothership enterprise architecture and was told to, you know, bring this to the people. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to, some people are literally going to hate my guts and ridicule me. I've gotten ridicule, you know, and you have to stand strong and find people you resonate with. You have to go with the people that resonate with you, because this world, in terms of states of consciousness, is going to split. You're going to have people that stay on third dimensional consciousness. You're going to have people that stay on fourth and fifth, sixth and seventh and beyond. It's going to be splits of vibrations on the planet Earth. Now, Mother Earth is requiring everybody to raise their vibration for the most part. That's how you're going to come into the knowledge and the revelations of the age of Aquarius. You're going to come into some deep knowledge about things, and especially about this idea of the divine feminine, the return of the divine feminine, the roles that the divine masculine is going to be called to elevate to. All of that's coming. But you're not going to have groups of humans all on the same level all at once. You're just not. You know, so those who understand what I'm saying and who can, you know, at least resonate, even if you don't have to agree with everything, but you say, okay, you know, those are your spiritual beliefs. Those are your spiritual beliefs. I'm just here for the more logistic aspects of community intentional building. I don't give a shit about those stuff. That's fine too. That's totally fine. But, yeah, there's going to be a shift in consciousness of where humans get grouped in silos. And you're going to see those silos. It's going to be very apparent where those silos are. And you're going to know what areas to avoid. You're going to know, okay, those are the people in the third dimensional realm. They're fighting like cats and dogs. You're still talking about gender wars. And they're victim minded. They just won't get out of that level. They won't rise to a certain level of consciousness where they take their own destiny in their own hands, where they become co-creators of their own reality, where they realize that they are the master architect, where they ascend in their consciousness, open up their pineal gland, and realize that they are the God, that they control that their subconscious mind. Those people, the people in the third dimensional realm are not going to be. People in the fourth dimensional realm are not going to be at that level. So you're going to be able to see very clearly. These are fourth dimensional beings. I got to move out this city. I gotta move out this town, or I gotta move out this block. Okay, this is the fifth dimensional beings. They got a little more understanding, but nah, fifth dimensional beings, not quite. They still into the subject-object duality. They still haven't transcended a certain level. You may not want to rock with the fifth dimensional beings. You may be sixth dimensional. You may be seventh dimensional. Now you got to find seventh dimensional beings. Okay, on this planet. For those who got some of you, if you reach the infinite where dimensions disappear, you already know what that means. Now, you're most likely the programmer. You're most likely the one that's coming up with the architects. You're most likely the one that's coming up with the architecture. Okay. And, but anyways, you're going to be able to see, you know, who's who. And that doesn't mean you judge them, or that doesn't mean you go and try to save the beings on the third dimension or the two dimension. You gotta let them be. You gotta let them be. And that don't mean you let them ridicule you and let them come over with your shit and fuck up your shit. you know, because through taxonomy, you know, we always talk about like this interconnectedness of the universe and all that. Yeah, that's true. But there's taxonomy on this planet, and there's the taxonomy in the universe. And a part of that taxonomy is that categorization based on resonance, based on frequency. So if someone is just not on your level, you don't engage them. And that's what I'm learning. I'm learning that I can't save nobody but my damn self. You know, all you can do is resonate. All you can do is seek to influence, not control. So all you can do is put the information out there, show your light, show what kind of soul you are, and try to find other people that's like, okay, you know, they like you. They like me. And now let's see how we can ascend to a higher level and help one another. Okay? It's not about somebody sacrificing or being a mule for the human race. And that's not what we're doing in the Queen Mothership. We are not the sacrificial lamb for Black America as the Queen Mothership. No. If people can't get it together, they've stuck in a certain vibration, a mindset. That's on them. We wish them the best. And keep it moving. Keep it moving. We ain't trying to convert nobody. Oh, you got to believe what we believe. What you believe is wrong. I don't give a shit what you believe. So don't come around me with it. Because I'm not trying to control what you think. You damn sure not about to control what I think. And that's what you as the Queen Mothership, that's what you have to say. You know, anytime somebody's trying to get you to do what they want you to do. And that also is the same for you. You can only seek to influence, not control. In this world. Or if you try to control, you're going to go crazy. You're going to be very disappointed because you're going to realize that most humans are not on your level. And I'm speaking to you because if you are listening to this, or if you've been following this channel, if you've been following some of the teachings, or if you've been exposing yourself to some of the material in the books, then on your journey, then we most likely resonate. Okay? Like we most likely have something in common. You know what I mean? Like, so you probably do feel like it's very hard for people to understand you. You may feel alone in terms of your state of consciousness because you are doing the work of self-development and you are doing the shadow work and you are ascending in certain levels because you're putting in the work. You're putting in the spiritual work. And that's a good thing, but also there's a price to pay for everything. It's lonely at the top. I ain't even gonna hold you. But there's also some peace and contentment there too. You can find peace and contentment. Don't think like, oh, I gotta go and shift my vibration because can't nobody understand what the hell I'm saying or doing. Don't think you gotta do that. There is peace in going with the flow and seeking out resonance over control and over discontentment with this world. Okay? Not being attached to the satisfaction aspects of the world, the disappointing aspects of the world. They just is. This is all content. We always talk about content creators and content. Everything that's in this third dimensional realm, or on planet Earth rather, because we're moving out of the third dimensional realm, is content that goes into what? Your mind. You get to choose what content you want in your mind. Every little thing that you see around you is an aspect of content that can program your consciousness. You have to choose what you program your consciousness with. Those tools are everywhere. And that's what the Nakti philosophy is about. That book that I wrote 3 years ago, the Nakti philosophy, that's heavily shadow banned because, and I have some proof that they didn't want that shit coming out. Like the CIA literally wrote, like the publication of the book, I still have pictures of it too. They put, my publisher put like this, they claimed that it was an accident and they asked me to send the original copy back. I never sent the original copy back. I have it in storage. And I took pictures of it just in case somebody tried to steal the original copy. They send a proof of me. They sent the proof of the Nakti philosophy book when it was first published. And there was pages from some, just random pages. Just random pages inside of the book. Referencing, it was quite creepy, but it was definitely referencing like stuff about the CIA, like the CIA. This, it just had literally pages of the CIA inside of my manuscript that they sent me, that had this random pages, like, oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. And I knew right then. I said, oh. I said, oh shit. I was like, okay. And then they were like, oh, please. They was begging us, please send the original copy back. You must send it back to us so that we can destroy it. I said, nah, because y'all did this shit on purpose, and y'all think I don't know what this is about. Of all pages, of all manuscripts, and that never happened before. And I'm like, now I got 16 books and that has never happened. And then that company, this was a pretty good ass publishing company. This wasn't a new company. Like this was one of the top ones. So, oh, we don't know how that got there. We don't know how that got there. And I still have the copy of that. The Nakti Philosophy. If you was to get that book and I was to show you the proof of that, yo, I'd be like, damn, they was trying to send you a message like they watching your ass. That's pretty much what I said, you know what? I called my friends. I said, why they put this shit in my books? I took pictures of it. And you could see clear as day the differentiation between the actual manuscript and the pages they just inserted in my fucking book. And I said, they just pretty much wanted to know, like, we watching your ass. Because again, that is a very heavy book, the Nakti Philosophy. And there's certain things that I know that I will not be able to say in terms of the level of subliminal programming that the human race is under and how they do it. And the Nakti Philosophy pretty much teaches humans how to break that and teaches you how to program your own shit, your own state of consciousness, so that you can manifest the life that you want, that only you know. So it teaches you the transmutation process of the alchemical processes of the mind, from childhood, all the way from childhood, all the way to your adulthood, all the way to assessing the state of consciousness that you have now, by understanding the intricacies of the organizations of the mind. And it doesn't tell you need to program your mind with this, or that's what you need to believe. That's not what the Nakti Philosophy does. It doesn't say this is what you need to believe. You have to choose based off of the content, the V2 that's all around you on this planet. You have to decide what that is. You have to determine your own moral system. You have to decide what higher state of consciousness you want to be in, or what even lower state you need to be in. Because sometimes you could be so high out of this world where you know good. They say that you know earthly good, you know, and you so out of it. And sometimes you do have to lower your vibration sometimes to function on this planet. So the Nakti Philosophy, that's what that was about, was teaching the human race how to program their own subconscious mind, conscious mind, emotional body, as well as their super conscious mind, to reprogram that from their childhood programming, from their current programming. So that is an aspect of this Queen Mothership, and you guys know I did not hide that from you when we talked about like what it means to be of the higher self and the spiritual development component of that. If this does not resonate with you, I completely understand. And this is for very, very few people at a very certain level. And I'm at peace with that. Of course, I would love for all Black Americans to see the value in themselves and to see what's happening in this world and to take a stand against what's happening to them in terms of ethnocide, genocide, in terms of them burying us to the underclass, but also in terms of the things that they do with the subliminal programming of the Black American, just the human race in general, but really how they attack the subconscious mind of the Black American. And that's why I created the Nakti Philosophy, because I'm like, oh no, these people are really, and to be honest, that was channeled through a very higher power. And that book is severely shadow banned. And you know, you guys, I do plan to make that PDF just freely available. I just need to do some editing of the manuscript, because obviously that was 3 years ago. So I just need to do some tweaks of the manuscript, and then I will be actually releasing that for free, because that is very, very important. And that was a part of the spiritual work on my head. Like, like that was a part of something that was supposed to get out. But again, I'm up against a machine in terms of the war on the mind, in terms of the war on the hearts and minds of the people. And that is something that avatars are going to have to deal with. You know, that's something that you're going to have to deal with as you ascend into your avatarhood. As Black Americans, you're going to have to deal with the fact that they have this system the way they want it. They have it the way it's been running for the last 2,000 years. No, it has not always been this way, but they have it, and they ain't going down without a fight. Like, they time is up, but it's like they gonna keep they holding this system up with little two frail tabletops, but they holding it up, and they still can come at some of us who are enlightened. They're gonna come at us hard. And there are some deals that's made, and there are some things that's on a higher spiritual level where they may not be able to kill us, but they can shadow ban the shit out your ass and make sure that you don't get no coverage. Make sure that they going around telling people, look, don't promote her. There's a lot of people that I know that know of me, you know, certain, even, you know, powerful people that even watch my shit, who know exactly who I am, but they have been told, you cannot promote nothing of this person because you don't took your oath. You know the oath that you under and who you serve. And this person did not go under this oath. And so she's out. And you're going to be out too, if you decide to stay with the path of your calling and your mission. Now, some of us are called to do this work. And it's just as simple as that. And we've taken it on the head. It's exciting to us. We're not even afraid of some of the consequences. And we're not even afraid of the consequences that come with that. Our consciousness can't understand fear at that level. I'm not saying that we never get fearful, but that is secondary. That doesn't really cross our mind. That fear of what happens, because we want to spread a higher vibration. The drive to spread that higher vibration outweighs the fear of what happens when the players that be try to instill that fear and actively try to diminish what you're doing. So that's a bit of a tangent, but I just wanted you guys to understand me more. And now we're going to just start reading the defense section. Okay, so defense. The primary goal of QM defense is to protect Black Americans and promote policies that will maintain a secure society. This includes improving safety in our neighborhoods, as well as developing military assets and intelligent institutions. Now we're going to talk about martial arts. Martial art is a broad term that covers a wide range of combat activities. It involves any form of fighting system and physical exercise, usually with weapons meant to protect oneself or others from harm. Martial arts can be divided into two categories: unarmed and armed. Unarmed martial arts include popular styles such as karate, judo, taekwondo, Muay Thai, and Aikido. In contrast, armed martial arts include fencing, Kendo, Eskrima, Wushu or Kung Fu, and Pencak Silat. So karate is a martial art developed in the Ryukyu Islands and what is now Okinawa, Japan. And we also know how, you know, the Japanese learned their martial arts from melanated people, because there's a lot of Japanese people that were originally melanated. We know that. It is primarily a striking art using punching, kicking, knee and elbow strikes, and open hand techniques such as knife hands, spear hands, palm heel strikes. Karate is known for its emphasis on self-defense training, which focuses on blocking and evading an opponent's attack while countering with quick punches and kicks. So that's just one aspect of what the QM defense will be trained in. Now again, when we talk about, like, once for my particular intentional community, I cannot control what, like, say if you're starting a Queen Mothership branch somewhere, I cannot control which style y'all choose, because obviously you have jiu-jitsu, capoeira, judo, taekwondo, Muay Thai. This is all in the book, Aikido. So for your intentional community, you're going to have to sit with your QM defense team and ask them, and they're going to have to vote, or however they're going to discuss it and come to a consensus on what form of martial arts they want to actually be trained in. They can choose more than one, but maybe mastering one, because they have your community trust fund has to fund their training. Part of it they have to do some sort of weekly, or maybe every several days, maybe even several days out of the week, they have to do their training. Okay, so we have to bring in someone that is obviously trained in these skills to teach the QM defense about this, or it may be somebody already in the QM defense that knows it and can teach it, but we still need to compensate them, for that. And the QM defense needs to decide, okay, which one are you going to be doing? Jiu-jitsu? Are you going to be doing capoeira? They need to decide which one. For my intentional community, for my particular branch, I have to have that conversation once we get these people, once we get it built up, and we have to decide, like, okay, what do you guys want to be trained in first? And then maybe once they master that, you go into the next one. So that is how that works out. So now let's cover jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is a grappling martial art that emphasizes the use of leverage and joint locks to subdue an opponent to gain a position of dominance over their body. The key focus of this combative style is controlling your opponent through submission moves. So practitioners must learn effective control methods before engaging in full contact sparring or actual combat. So now we have capoeira. Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art. Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art that combines elements of dance and music with acrobatics and self-defense techniques. It's originated in Brazil as a means of self-defense for melanated enslaved people during the colonial period. Like other combative forms, capoeira is performed in a circle called roda, which is like a wheel, where two practitioners use music to lead their movements and create an improvised call and response game. The game's goal is to outmaneuver one another without actually making contact, but we know that capoeira is a real defense mechanism. So the next one we have is judo. Judo is another martial art. It is a grappling style focusing on throws and submission locks instead of striking techniques. In judo, practitioners learn how to use the opponent's momentum against them while also utilizing their own body's leverage and strength to gain an adventurous position over them. Taekwondo is a martial art that focuses on kicking and hand techniques. Taekwondo is known for its powerful kicks and emphasis on footwork, allowing practitioners to move quickly while maintaining precise timing. Various forms of sparring allow practitioners to hone their skills by engaging in simulated combat scenarios. Muay Thai is another combat style originating from Thailand. It combines punches, elbow strikes, knee strikes, kicks, clinches, and throws into an effective fighting system that has been successfully used in MMA competitions. Muay Thai fighters are known for their combination of power and speed when executing various techniques. So now we have Aikido. This is a martial art developed by Morihei Ueshiba, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this stuff wrong, as a synthesis of his martial studies with philosophy and spirituality. Aikido is a non-competitive martial art. It aims to protect oneself while blending with an attacker's movements and using their momentum against them. It relies on joint locks, throws, and pins to subdue or redirect an opponent's force. No matter which type of martial arts you practice, they all should share similar underlying principles such as strategy. This is very important. Strategy, focus, discipline, respect for one another, and self-defense. Martial arts can be used as a form of fitness, as a way of life with moral value and ethical codes embedded with their traditions. All of these martial arts have evolved over time. They are now practiced worldwide by millions of people looking to improve their physical fitness, self-discipline, mental focus, and even spirituality. The diversity of styles and techniques allows students to choose from various martial arts that best suit their needs and goals. Whatever style you practice, it can be an enriching journey that develops your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. Men and women in the QM defense are to become familiar with martial arts. So once again, you have to decide. The QM defense team decides which one they want to focus on first. And then you do that. You become efficient in that. And now, remember, the next component is archery. The next component is archery of the QM defense. Archery is also, you can separate that and for archery, I'm thinking you may be able to do teams, maybe a specific team that is going to dedicate their time to archery. So you may have certain members do that, or I'm not sure if the whole QM defense team should be training on archery, or if it should just be left to like this component of the QM defense masters archery and bow and arrow self-defense. So I'm still thinking about that. But for anybody who does start their own intentional branch of a Queen Mothership, that may be something you will want to do for, as far as a deviation, whatever is efficient and whatever makes most sense in terms of pragmatism. So the next one is gun range. That is the next component of the Queen Mothership is marksmanship. So that is the next component of the QM defense. Is marksmanship. Okay, so the Queen Mothership mandates that all men practice at the gun range regularly. Obviously, women, you can practice at the gun range as well. In fact, you are encouraged to. It's just up to you. This mandate serves to benefit its members in several ways. Firstly, it helps instill discipline and strengthen their skills as marksmen. Regular practice allows them to hone the accuracy of their aim and increase the speed of their reflexes, both of which can be essential in combat situations. They can also learn valuable safety habits and proper handling techniques while on the range. Finally, regular visits to the range are beneficial for mental health reasons. They provide an opportunity to distress, focus on something other than day-to-day concerns, and build camaraderie with other members of the Defense League. All of these benefits make gun range practice a vital part of the Queen Mothership and its members. So that is obviously self-explanatory. That is the last component of the section that I wanted to read to you. So that sums it up. And, if you guys have any questions, you can email me. There are people already emailing me about this. And I'm very thankful because I was able to talk with one of the people that's interested in this. And we talked for hours and it was very refreshing to hear, like, okay, people subscribe to the channel, but you don't actually get to talk and hear them and meet them. And so being able to actually finally do that now, after a year of putting up content on this channel, on this particular channel, I'm like, man, that's really dope to hear some of the other people's ideas, and be able to go back and forth, and get the feedback as far as what they feel about the Queen Mothership. So that is very awesome. So you can email. I do prefer writing. So I prefer email. If you guys do want to talk on the phone, I'm open to that, but just don't waste my time. I weed the emails help me weed you out to see, like, okay, what is this person's mindset about? But yes, definitely email at info@nocti.us if you have any questions regarding, like, okay, they may have some concerns, you may have some suggestions, you may have just want to express yourself with something that's on your mind. You can definitely do that. Definitely email me, because one of the things, again, we're putting this in the video format so that Black Americans can get access to it, that is all over the country, first and foremost. But eventually we want to get more on the ground. But this needs to be up for those who won't have access to the book to know that something, for those who don't have access to the book, for one, and for those who are not necessarily in the same city as me. So it's like people all over the country can get access to this eventually. But one of the goals of me doing this channel and educating on this channel and putting information out on this channel is to build that resonance and to find people, for one, that can understand me, and so that we can build that intimacy and start to really build a community that is not just online. It can be online, but also to find those individuals who, may want to really take this serious and start to move offline, in whatever capacity that means, because some of the people that I'm talking with, we're not in the same state. We're just not in the same state, and that is something that I have to consider, because, like, I've been wanting to do this intentional community, obviously within just one silos of a city for my particular branch, while understanding that other people can start their branch. But what I'm finding is that people don't necessarily want to start their branch in their city. They just want to be a part of mine. But I'm like, we're not even in the same state. So I'm like, I have to think about how that looks like in terms of, like, I didn't think of that in terms of, like, my particular Queen Mothership branch that I'm building and that there are people in other states that don't necessarily want to build their own chapter or their own branch. They just want to be a part of what I'm doing in a different state. And it's like, well, we're actually just like, when I say like we're going to get land and we're going to like build something very small in a particular city, like how does that look like for people that are not in that, in that state, so I'm still thinking about how do we still build silos and those intentional communities with those who are long distance. And so obviously I'll be consulting with other people about that. I'll be doing my due diligence and making sure that I research this very well, that aspect of it. So I'll be talking with other people clearly. So that is what I have for you today. Please enjoy the rest of your week. Always keep your head up, and also remember some of the things I was saying earlier about seeking to influence, not control. Spirit really wanted me to get that off my chest to whoever needs that, and because there's peace and understanding that these people gonna do what they gonna do. These people they gonna say what they gonna believe what they gonna believe. They gonna say what they gonna say. They gonna do what they gonna do. And releasing releasing them, from your frequency, from your resonance, is very important for your peace of mind. So that is what I wanted to say to you, Black Americans. Remember to keep your head up and to love yourself. See yourself as a beautiful human that is filled with love and joy and talents and gifts. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you later. Love you. Bye.